It's a great honor to be here today to introduce Blair Dickerson, who was the first African-American student in our class of 72. I'm going to get to Blair in a moment, but first I'd like to recognize Blair's mother for what had to be a really difficult decision to send Blair here.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that now as a parent because a parent's never happier than their least happy child. I can speak for our entire class when I say that we were very grateful for your decision. And it's a tribute to Blair's character that he fit into our class so seamlessly, as though he'd been a Tatnall lifer. His first real orientation in 1969 was in a preseason football where he distinguished himself as an outstanding athlete. When school started, he also distinguished himself in the classroom. I knew he was intellectually gifted because he wasn't in any of my classes. If you want to get It was at Dartmouth that Blair discovered public service. In his long career, he has volunteered as a tutor, been a house parent for at-risk young adults, served as law council vice president, worked on the Minnesota Justice Foundation, helped organize the Black Law Students Association, was intake attorney for the AIDS Law Project of Pennsylvania, worked with the ACLU of Delaware, volunteered board member of Caring Hands, Connection CSP board member, NAACP Wilmington Vice President, and he served on Tatnall's Alumni Council and Board of Trustees. Blair's worked at Xerox, Chemical Bank, W.L. Gore, and Delaware State Labor Office, where he investigated charges of labor discrimination. Blair has two very accomplished sons, Everett, who earned a PhD in psychology, and Andy, an offensive line coach with the LA Rams. One thing Blair's been over the decades is a great friend. Every time I've seen him, whether it was the first time in a year or a decade, I feel like we have picked up where we left off. We have talked late into the night about Kavanaugh. That would be Mrs. Kavanaugh, the librarian, who would not let us read in the library. But also social injustice and everything in between. It is truly an honor to introduce my friend Blair Dickerson, the first African-American student for the Distinguished Alumni Award, and the Fresh Prince of Barley Milk.
Thank you very much. What does her go? Just in case I need this. I'm grateful for the few minutes. I have no tech skills though. Maybe I do. I'm grateful for the few minutes I have to stand in this platform before you. Before you have raised, nurtured, coached, guided me, and I'm so certain of your love, the mother's love, and the fatherly guidance, which sustained me in my journey through, to, and on beyond Tatnall. I'm going to risk crying like a baby just to thank you all, okay? I know all your preparations, protective acts, and kind words operated in love. Your gifts continued in love even when my own weakness motivated those gifts, when my own foolishness pulled me off the path that led to this platform. So thank you. Where's my mother? Oh. That's my mother, Edith Dickerson, next to her son, Tim Davis. It's a long story. My mother was born Edith Dickerson just 1,000 yards down Barley Mill Road. where in Wooddale, where her father, my grandfather, was chauffeur to U.S. Senator L. Heisler Ball. She grew up amongst family servants in the Ball family. And I also want to thank Mothers Libby Zerko and also Mother Lorraine Thalheimer. Hi, Mom. And I thank you because it seems like every boy who's ever picked up a ball or a bowl, okay, like me included, seeks out a platform like this just to say, hi, Mom. So I am going to speak a little bit longer tonight. Marnie's yielded back some time to me about love and tumult in the context of Tatnall. And I thought it would be a snappy guiding premise since the Tatnall seal is a very small triangle within a small circle that bears a nearly fully formed motto that I saw first, oddly, growing up in tumultuous times. Omnia in caritate. We heard that earlier today? All things in love. But I never took Latin. So for nearly 50 years, I was happy to memorize the pronunciation. Omnia in caritate. And to accept the school's official translation for that motto, everything in love. As a kid, I heard the do was optional, and if not optional, it was silent. On a whim, I asked a seminary-trained friend who sits among us, or stands among us. Where's JB? She's standing among us? Hi, JB. I asked a seminary-trained friend to help me understand what Paul, the first writer of the phrase, all things in love, was trying to teach in this divided, difficult times of the early church. Why did I do this? It took over 2 weeks of conversations, texts, voice messages on the meaning of one verse of the Apostle Paul's letter to the Corinthians, because this motto, this verse, spoke of wisdom then, and it speaks of guidance now. Paul was trying to steer through difficult times, and on my arrival, Tatnall was finding its way through contentious, fractious times. And many would say that today we face tumultuous times. My friend told me that Paul understood that only the strong and courageous would have what was needed to do all things in love. To do all things in love. So, Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 16th chapter, verses 13 and 14, be courageous, be strong, do everything in love. Hi, Lino. But I get it. You can't get all that on the school seal, right? You have to keep it simple for the kids in the preschool. Heck, you got to keep it simple for the high school kids who never took Latin and a head of school or so. Right? All in love, all in love. So what better way to cause tumult and contention than in 1969 than to bring a nearly fully formed minority child into a school that was in itself essentially a very small, close-knit circle of nearly fully formed majority children, when, if the minority child is even marginally successful, she or he will someday luck into becoming the first African-American graduate among the whites within the very small circle. And just to make it more interesting, let's move this student in just 3 months after the previous African-American candidate for the future first in honor was bullied out of the school. Bullied out of school by some pretty untouchable bullies. Last and certainly not least, let's implement this plan just 9 months after a bitter 9-month occupation by the National Guard of the city of Wilmington. Estimates are by people who should know that was the longest occupation of the United States city by armed troops since the Civil War. Better yet, on solving things, how do you fix this? Smooth it over. Make it work. Omnia and caritate? Well, I think you find a head of school with enough smarts and will and a plan to make the change. Make a change and make this integration about something more than merely changing the school's color scheme. You find a head of school is committed to and willing to take steps even baby steps to change the school's culture. But what does this head of school need? He needs to know what love is. He needs to know what love looks like. He needs to be able to give love, maybe, without giving away that he's given away love. You feel me? Okay. And he needs at least one smart, flexible, big-hearted coach who will put in at least 1 year of extra effort and time. He needs the type of coach who's going to put in the effort and time to immediately pick his own kid. The type of coach who's going to say, if you want me to cook, I get to buy the groceries. Coach is going to put this kid in a position to succeed, place the kid among already honorable young men who already love the coach and who will not let the kid be bullied. Then after a year or so, if the coach has done his job, and even if the coach himself, and if the kid himself doesn't work out, the head of school is going to let this coach off the hook, right? Especially if the coach has found other worlds to coach up and conquer, but only after the coach writes his own thoughtful epistle. My seminary-trained friend called this coach my Paul. As it turned out, my Paul actually was going to leave Tatnall. And he sensed that he should not just walk away from me, should not leave me without adult supervision and without these final instructions in tumultuous times. It's right here. It's all over here. Blair. We've known each other for only a brief time, yet it seems like a lifetime. You have a great deal of potential in all areas, especially as a real person, a man. One of the most good and mature people I know, never change your pleasant and winning personality. I'll miss coaching a future great athlete. But remember, this greatness only comes through hard work and pride. Be proud in everything you choose to do, and you'll always be able to hold your head up high. And remember to call or stop and see me anytime you want a friend to talk to. Good luck and take care. Donald Vincent Borowski. It says right here, close book, stop crying, get tissues for Mark. That is 1 Corinthians 16:13. I thought you were Marnie bringing my tissues. It was written exactly for my 16-year-old heart and brain. In about 12 short months, Donald Vincent Borowski coached me up. Within 12 short, intense months, I learned what a real coach looked like. I gained invaluable experience. Only some of that experience had to do with playing ball. Most of it related to learning how to feel almost instantly whether someone was really on my team or if they were against me. Team, mom. Thus I learned to trust, and I learned invaluable lessons from adults like W. Rodman Snelling, Peter Parlett, Ann Chady. I learned how to seek out and pick out lessons from parents like Big Tom Hughes, Dan Johnson, Doc Kaiser, Don Hart Davis. And from trusted friends, notably Robert Allen Lipstein. Bobby here tonight? Bobby Lipstein here tonight? Too damn bad. Too damn bad. Mom, you remember Sherry Lipstein? She was in Jackie's class? Okay. Other trusted friends, Roxanne Snelling, Henry Rosenberg, Cornelia Daly, Jim Frick, Eddie Cook, Kate Gallagher, David Preston, Marnie Hughes, rolling back 60 deep in our class. I learned a few things along the way about how my coming to Tatnall was destined to change me and encourage me to mature. As Paul declares in the 11th verse of the 13th chapter of the same letter to Corinthians, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things.
Good. Take your time.
Marnie, where are my tissues? So here we are again, tumultuous times. Nasty, hateful, divisive times. You got the job, Marnie. Hi, Leno. They always got my back. Again, they won't let me be bullied. Nasty, hateful, divisive times, and Tatnall's done something tonight it's never done before. Nearly 50 years ago, my coming to Tatnall changed me. But here's a loving question for you. How did my coming to Tatnall change you?
Mm-hmm.
Please ask yourself, are there any of the lessons here for me from Blair's history here? Look at your so-called minority students who will become your so-called minority graduates, and look at how often they return. I'm pretty certain that it hasn't been a big deal for nearly 50 years and we make a fuss over someone merely because we count them as a graduate, right? You know what is a big deal? A big deal is when someone we count as a minority graduate wants to come back, and who wants to come back in love. I've done so today. Edith Faulkner, Dickerson's son, came back today. Thanks, Linda. Thank you for the honor of studying at a prestigious private school. Thank you for the honor of representing Tatnall on the football field, on the basketball court, on the track, on the streets of Wilmington, in the Ivy League at Dartmouth. Where's my HBCU? Where's Tony? JB. That's what Dartmouth looks like. Oh! Hey, Joy. That's my niece. And at the Big Ten, at University of Minnesota Law School, and in the halls of justice. Thank you for the honor of being your first African-American graduate. Thank you for the honor of being considered a distinguished alumnus. Thank you for the honor of your love. Thank you. That's it.
BCD.
Speaking of love, the lovely and wonderfully versatile Anita Marcial, our former athletic director and alumni director, will take the podium to present Ms. Mary Lou Pham.
Do I really have to follow that? So Blair, in all seriousness, I'm not serious too much, but in all seriousness, thank you for forging the path. That's all I'm going to say to that, so thank you. So, this is a very serious and somber event here tonight. So, Chris Tompkins made me sign a document that I wouldn't wear my Girl Scout uniform, I wouldn't tell any dirty jokes, and I wouldn't tell the story of Cinderella and the Sense. However, we were a little ahead of schedule a little while ago, but however, I do have to stray on two things. Number one, Robin Chipman, are you still here? Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't matter. I just want to clarify something with Robin. That even though Bruce and I were boyfriend and girlfriend in 4th grade, we never kissed, and certainly in 1954, we never had sex in 4th grade. But she's in the bathroom and didn't hear that, so if you could pass that on to her, I'd appreciate it. The
The second thing I want to stray from is, since I'm really not here anymore, I just want to say this one thing. Throughout my 40 years here at Tatnall, I've had many people ask me this question. I've applied to Tower Hill Friends, Sanford, and Tatnall. Why should I send my child to Tatnall? My standard answer, and I will go to my grave saying this, although I hope it's later than sooner, is that you will get a good education in any of these schools, but there is no school that will take better care of your child than the faculty and the staff at Tatnall School. And there are a couple of applicants. And I wanted you to applaud yourselves because it's because of you that I feel this way, and that I have two colleagues here tonight that are retired who have been such an impact on Tatnall, on me, on students. Sandy Einstein and Sarah Balin are here. So on to seriousness. If you want to hear a dirty joke or turn around the sense, I'll be in the tent after. I'm going to ask Mary Lou Pam to come up here next to me, if she will.
Not too serious.
Okay. Mary Lou Pam was a lifer at Tatnall, starting here in first grade and graduating as the May Queen, I might add, in 1978. You knew I had to get there. Who knew then that she would become one of the longest running volunteers for our school? Albert Einstein said, "It is every person's obligation to put back into the world at least the equivalent of what they take out of it." Mary Lou has far exceeded that obligation in the world of the Tatnall School. For over 35 years, she has given us her time, her talent, and her treasure. One of the greatest gifts an alum can give to a school is to create a legacy by having their child attend their alma mater. Mary Lou and her husband Roland did just that by having their sons Christopher and Rob become lifers of the Hive as well. During the boys' time here, Mary Lou began her volunteer life and served the school in many capacities, beginning with being a great parent, a division rep, a team mom, service on Tatnall committees, fundraising efforts, and educational endeavors. She also was a member of the Alumni Council from 1996 until just this past year, serving as its vice president in 2002 and its president in 2004. In addition, Mary Lou has served as a class agent for many years.